Your cat heard you. It just decided you weren't worth answering. In 2019, cognitive scientist Atsuko Saito at Sophia University in Tokyo settled a long-standing debate. Domestic cats can distinguish their own name from other words with similar sound and rhythm. Saito's team measured ear rotation, head orientation, and tail movement, the subtle signals cats produce when something registers. The cats responded to their names. They just didn't act on that recognition the way a dog would. Dogs evolved alongside humans for roughly 15,000 years as active cooperative hunters. Evolutionary geneticist Gregor Larson at the University of Oxford, whose team published in Science in 2015, helped establish that this partnership ran on mutual coordination, dogs reading human cues, humans directing dog behavior. Their nervous systems treat a human voice as a social command, requiring immediate physical response. Cats were never domesticated that way. The Near Eastern wildcat, Felis sylvestris libica, began associating with early agricultural settlements around 10,000 years ago, not because humans bred them for companionship, but because grain stores attracted rodents, and rodents attracted cats. That origin was documented in a landmark 2004 paper in Science by geneticist Carlos Driscoll and colleagues at the National Cancer Institute, who traced every domestic cat lineage back to that single wildcat subspecies in the Fertile Crescent. Here's where the biology diverges sharply. Humans never bred cats for obedience or responsiveness to commands. The cats that stayed near humans were the ones tolerant of proximity, not the ones wired to follow instructions. But here's where it gets harder to dismiss. Choosing not to respond isn't the same as not noticing. Saito's behavioral data showed that cats hearing their name produced measurable orienting responses. Ear rotations, head turns, tail movements, and then suppressed further outward action. The cat registered the call. It evaluated the call as not requiring a reply. That selective suppression isn't passive. It's an active filtering process. Behavioral scientists use the term cognitive independence to describe an animal's capacity to register a stimulus, evaluate its relevance, and withhold a response when the cost-benefit calculation doesn't favor action. Cats run this calculation constantly. For a solitary ambush predator, unnecessary movement is a survival liability. Every twitch, every vocalization, every response to an irrelevant sound costs energy and risks alerting prey. Stillness isn't laziness. It's the default operating mode of a highly efficient hunter. A new question surfaces here. Do cats recognize the name, or do they recognize the voice saying it? Saito's team controlled for this specifically, using strangers' voices, not just the owners. The name recognition held. The cat knows the word, not only the speaker. The mechanism is associative memory. Cats link the specific phoneme sequence of their name to outcomes: feeding, petting, play, or sometimes a veterinary visit. The name carries a history of consequences. That history is stored and actively retrieved. Unlike pack animals, cats never evolved a social hierarchy that rewarded responsiveness to a dominant member's call. There was no alpha to answer to. The memory system developed to serve the individual cat's survival, not to facilitate group coordination. What about cats that live with other cats? Saito's 2019 study tested multi-cat households too, and found something worth pausing on. Those cats showed even stronger discrimination between their own name and the names of their housemates. Living with other cats sharpens the discrimination. When a cat repeatedly hears another cat's name, followed by a consequence that doesn't apply to it, the brain learns to filter that name as irrelevant. This is social eavesdropping, passive learning from ambient information. Here's the payoff. A cat that ignores its name isn't demonstrating indifference. It's demonstrating that it has correctly categorized the call as low priority and chosen to allocate its attention elsewhere. That's not a failure of intelligence. It's intelligence operating exactly as designed. This isn't a claim that cats are smarter than dogs. Dogs evolved a social intelligence optimized for reading human intent and responding cooperatively. That's a genuine cognitive achievement. The two species solved different evolutionary problems with different cognitive architectures. Context shifts everything. Saito's team noted that cats in a relaxed, familiar environment responded more visibly than cats in unfamiliar settings. Not because they heard better, but because the cost-benefit calculation changed. Security lowers the threshold for response. Long-term familiarity matters. Saito's research documented that cats showed stronger orienting responses to their owner's voice than to a stranger's voice using the same name. And that effect was most pronounced in cats with longer shared histories. The bond isn't just behavioral habit. According to Saito, it appears to be encoded as a stable associative structure in the cat's memory, one that deepens with repeated positive interaction over months and years. There's a layer beneath the acoustic signal. Research led by Isabella Merola at the University of Milan, published in 2015, found that cats adjust their behavior in response to their owner's emotional state, approaching more when the owner is calm, withdrawing when stress signals are present. A 2020 follow-up from the same institution extended those findings, showing the effect held across unfamiliar environments as well. So, do cats feel any social obligation? The evidence points somewhere more nuanced than a flat no. Cats raised with consistent human interaction from before 7 weeks of age show attachment behaviors that parallel infant caregiver bonding patterns in humans, secure base effects included. In 2019, animal behaviorist Kristen Vitale at Oregon State University tested the secure base effect in cats using a protocol adapted from human-infant attachment research. 65% of cats showed secure attachment to their owners, a figure nearly identical to human infants. Here's where the two findings reconcile. A securely attached cat doesn't need to respond to every call to maintain the bond, because the bond isn't contingent on performance. The cat knows the relationship is stable. It doesn't perform loyalty. It simply holds it. The practical implication is this. If you interpret your cat's non-response as rejection, you're applying a social framework the cat doesn't operate within. The cat isn't sending a message. It's simply not sending one, which is an entirely different thing. What reliably gets a cat's attention? Novel sounds in the prey frequency range, roughly 2 to 64 kilohertz. The rustle of a plastic bag. The high-pitched squeak of a toy. These bypass the cost-benefit filter because they trigger a hardwired predatory alert. This tells us something useful. In a 2022 paper published in Animal Cognition, Charlotte de Mouzon at the University of Paris-Nanterre found that cats showed more consistent orienting responses when their owners use high-pitched, variable tone vocalizations, what researchers call cat-directed speech, a form of motherese, compared to flat adult conversational tone. The effect was specific to the owner's voice, which suggests the cats were responding to a learned combination of acoustic style and familiar speaker. Atsuko Saito's lab has continued this work since the 2019 publication. Current research examines whether cats track conversational context, not just individual words, suggesting that feline language processing may reach well beyond what a single name recognition study could capture. The deeper implication reaches beyond cats. For most of the 20th century, animal intelligence was measured against frameworks built on human social norms. Edward Thorndike's puzzle box experiments in 1898 established a template that equated intelligence with speed of compliance. How quickly an animal performed the action a human wanted. Cats consistently scored poorly by that metric. Cognitive ecologists now argue that intelligence should be measured against the demands of the animal's actual environment. Sarah Shuttleworth, whose foundational text, Cognition, Evolution, and Behavior, set the terms for this field, argued that each species' cognitive toolkit reflects the specific adaptive pressures it evolved under, not a universal hierarchy. By that standard, a cat navigating a complex home territory, tracking multiple humans' behavioral patterns, and managing social bonds on its own terms is performing at a high level. One question stays genuinely open. During those long stretches of apparent stillness, when a cat stares at a wall or sits motionless at a window for 40 minutes, what is the brain doing? Current neuroimaging in cats is limited. The honest answer is that we don't fully know. What we do know is suggestive. Research on feline sleep architecture, including work by Mircea Sterian at Laval University, who studied thalamocortical activity in cats through the 1990s, established that cats cycle through neural states associated with memory consolidation during both light sleep and quiet wakefulness. The still cat may not be vacant. It may be filing the day's information into longer-term storage, running the same consolidation routines that humans run during rest. Consider what Kristen Vitale's attachment data actually means in practice. If 65% of cats are securely attached, and secure attachment is defined by the ability to explore confidently and return to the caregiver as a safe base, then the cat sitting calmly across the room while ignoring your call isn't withdrawing from you. It's doing exactly what a securely attached individual does, moving through the world without needing constant reassurance that the bond is intact. That's the behavior. Your cat heard you at the very start of this. It heard you, assessed you, and decided the moment didn't require a response. That's not indifference. That's a mind running exactly as 10,000 years of independent evolution designed it to run, quietly, precisely, and entirely on its own terms.